All right, so for those of you who didn't hear the last year of our church life, there's a few visitors today. We went to Brooklyn, New York for our mission trip this year. It was freshmen, I guess we had one freshman, Joe, and the rest were sophomores through seniors. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to take away what these fine people will be sharing, but thank you very much for your support and especially for your prayers. I know I mentioned it when we first got back, but we probably should have gotten in several car accidents driving through Brooklyn streets. It was a little crazy, and the parking, you always had to pay for parking every place you went, and we had to fit way too many cars in the little tiny lot that the church allotted us. So thank you for your prayers. We felt them greatly. There's also a group of us that were over at Trinity Church. We kind of joined together with Trinity and Saybrook. So they are there this morning kind of doing this same thing. So the group that we went to maybe 4 or 5 different places. The group that I led was Riley, Elena, and then Jill from Trinity. So you probably know Riley and Elena. So they sent me what they shared, and they wanted me to share it this morning. So here we go. So this is Riley. For one of our service projects, we were assigned Kids Club. We had the morning to plan all of the activities and went to a park in the afternoon and expected the kids to start coming. The first day, 2 kids came. This made us feel like we weren't making a difference. But as the days went on, more kids came. Then we could actually do what we prepared for, and it was fun to see how happy we were making the kids we were playing with. During the days where there weren't a lot of kids, it made more time for us to connect with people from the other churches that were also on the trip. We now have friends in Long Island and Michigan. And then from Elena, one day, when we were at Kids Club before the kids came, we decided to walk around the park and pray for people. This was outside probably everyone's comfort zones in our group, but we decided to do it. I was very surprised that almost everyone said yes to us praying for them. All of the people seemed very touched, and some even started to cry. Even though there was a language barrier with some of the people, we still found a way to communicate with them because one girl in our group was almost fluent in Spanish. This was eye-opening for me because I usually don't feel comfortable going up to strangers, but I never felt like I was unsafe. And then from Jill, we also went to a food pantry for the elderly and homebound called Saybrook. There, we prepared fruit to be packaged as well as packaging food bundles. It really felt good to see the amount of food we packaged and feel like we were making a difference. One of the days we went there was also teenage volunteers from the city there because they just wanted to be. I got to talk with them, along with another youth from YouthWorks, and learned a lot about what life is like in the city. They told me about their school situations, and we agreed on the fact that volunteering at Baybridge was a good experience. The other kids in our group from YouthWorks, from a church in Michigan, were really fun to get to know as well, and we got close with them because it was only a 5-person group. So we'll also have Rachel share and Christine share about the sites that they went to, and then these 3 are going to talk about where we lived for the week.
All right, so I worked at Mosby Soup Kitchen. So we had our adults, Jeff and Mary Lee, and then we also had Adam, Jay, Noel, Dan, Allie, and Grace, who are up here. No, they're not here. They're right there. And, and Joe. So we had a big group. There was 10 of us total, and so 7 of us were from either Trinity or St. Paul. So Mosbia is in kind of the Jewish and Muslim area of Brooklyn. It's a couple neighborhoods big, so it's not huge, but, well, for a city, but like, so yeah. Mosbia serves about 500 meals per day, and they only have a couple employees, which are through programs like for low-income teens, and then they have a few volunteers through similar programs, but it's pretty much completely volunteer-based. So when we got there the first day, we were pretty much on time, which was kind of impressive because it was the first time we had driven across Brooklyn except to get there. So then we paid for parking, so then we were in there probably like 10 minutes late, and it was already busy. Like, not serving, because they don't serve until like 2 o'clock, but like the kitchen was full, and we weren't even there yet. So it was very chaotic. Levy, who kind of supervises the place, tried to give us instructions. They were kind of vague, but we had been warned about that, so we kind of tried to ask more questions, and we kind of got it. It started going, but the place was kind of a mess. There was, the freezer was not great. There was crates everywhere full of food. The fridge was even worse because things were like on the ground and they were rotting. So the fridge was not in a good state. Downstairs in the basement where storage was like a maze. There was boxes everywhere, and some of the kids weren't doing anything and kind of hanging down there a little bit. And then the kitchen flooded, because when it rains, water comes through the fridge and floods the kitchen. So we were vacuuming water all day. And we didn't have really any idea we had a little bit of an idea what was going on, but not much. I'm someone who needs instructions in order to get stuff done, especially in a kitchen, and that wasn't happening. So we tried our best. We cooked a bit, made some decently good stuff, but I've never really felt that hopeless in a working situation before. Like, I left going, I don't want to come back. I don't know if I can, but you have to. So we showered, and then Jeff treated us to Rita's, which really helped us. Yeah, definitely something that helped our team spirit. So then we kind of prayed about it that night, kind of worried a bit. Took me a long time to fall asleep. And then so we just went back the next day with a positive attitude. People organized the fridge, got everything up off the ground. The freezer was organized. That was the fridge and the freezer were huge steps. I helped later in the week in the freezer. Felt nice to get into the cold. But we cooked a lot. We cooked tuna, salmon, pasta, some kind of weird gruel, and more. Some boys helped move stuff downstairs, and we hauled lots of food, potatoes, vegetables, and there's a great video of us on Facebook hauling fish into the kitchen. There was 2 pallets of frozen fish. It's a lot. Because all the food they get is from donations. So they never really know what's going to come through the doors. So whether it be frozen fish, 40 bags of potatoes, they don't really know. So, but it got a lot better. We were working really hard. We got a lot of stuff done. And at the end, Levy took us on a tour of the neighborhood. In the RV, he lets people who have recently been evicted from their homes use. So he took us on a tour of the neighborhood while he had to go park it in long-term parking, well, longer term. And afterwards, he told us like his story and like why he was working at Masbia, and then he gave us a blessing, and it was honestly one of the best things that like someone has ever done for me. And like, it started out to look like it was going to be a really rough week, but it got so much better, and I felt like I was really helping people. So unfortunately, we weren't serving anyone directly because they serve around 2:30, and we normally left around 2:15, so we never really got to see the people we were impacting directly. But just looking at all the food that came in and came out of there was really amazing. So yeah, we worked at Masbia. Loved it.
So my group worked at the Norwegian Christian Nursing Home, and my group was Anna, Leave, Sydney, Luke, Max, and Cooper. And our group, we didn't have a leader from this church. We had a leader from Michigan. So when we got with our group, we were the Avengers. Every group has like a different movie name, and ours was the Avengers. And so when we got with our group, we didn't really know the other people. They were from Michigan. We'd seen them around the place that we were staying, but we didn't really know them. So it took us a really long time to like connect with them. And we went to the nursing home, and the lady there, her name was Helen, she split us up into a few different groups by like floors. There was 4 floors, and some people went to go play like bocce ball or bowling, and then the rest of us went up to go just talk and hang out with the residents. And the first day, they kind of just threw us into the mix with like all the residents and had us like play games with them and talk to them. And I remember being really nervous going up to the residents and like really timid. And then by like the last day, everything was a lot more, I felt a lot more comfortable there. And it was a really good experience because we got to connect with the older generations, and we got to listen to a lot of really cool stories from the residents. And you really saw the difference that we are making. Like, a lot of the residents don't have a lot of family, or their family has kind of just left them at the nursing home and don't really visit. So when we went, we kind of, a lot of them were like really excited to see us. There's this one guy, Glenn, who was in there, and every time we walked in, he was really excited. He would like kiss our hands. He would say, thank you so much. And then he loved Connect 4. He played that all the time. He was really good, like really good. And then a few of us also met this lady named Carrie, who was like in her 90s, and she was the sweetest person ever. She wanted to get us pizza, and every day we went up and we saw her, and she talked to us. And there was also this other woman who was in her hundreds, and I don't remember her name because I never met her, but she was really nice, I've heard, and she was really happy to be like 100, and she was one of the most optimistic people in the place. A lot of them weren't too happy because they felt like their like rights were sort of stripped away because as they got older, they couldn't do as much, and then so they weren't able to do the things that they wanted to do all the time. But with us there, they kind of felt we kind of distracted them from that. And then we took them to like a cookout that they were having in the courtyard. There was like a game day where some people painted nails, and it was a good time. Yeah, we got to meet a lot of really cool people from all over. Sydney talked to this one person in French, and it was interesting.
So we're going to be talking about where we were staying. So we were in Brooklyn, New York, in a kind of a Chinatown area. And on the first day when we got there, the counselors were like, this is a very diverse area. So if you go like 2 blocks this way, you're in kind of like a Jewish area. And if you go a block backwards, we were kind of in like a Hispanic area. So it was really interesting to see like all the different cultures being in such close proximity to each other, because we live in a very undiverse place in Connecticut. So it was cool that we could see all the other cultures, and we got to try their food. So one night we went out and got Chinese food, and then another night we went and we tried some Mexican ice cream. So just really cool things that we don't get to like experience necessarily in this area of Connecticut.
Yeah, so going off of what Anna said, I think what was really cool about this mission trip is that we got a lot of freedom to kind of go and explore and kind of see Chinatown. So like me personally, I've never really been to that big of a Chinatown. I mean, last year in Toronto, there was like a street, just literally that was their Chinatown street. So it was really cool to be in this like such a big cultural place. Yeah, we got a lot of Chinese food. It was really good. We did a lot of exploring. Met a lot of cool people. It was a good time.
Yes, I agree with everything that they said.
Sydney said it all. I think a couple of the things that I enjoyed very much was, especially being in a place like Masbia that was very chaotic, watching people like Rachel take charge and start directing traffic by day 2 and 3, and then it seemed by the end we kind of were running the place. Not in like we know better than you, but it was we had ownership of what we were doing. And with these girls, since we didn't have one of our adult leaders with them during the day, when we showed up at the YMCA, which is where we had our showers, it was when we kind of saw each other for the first time. They were talking a mile a minute about their adventures, and that was also a real highlight for me. So thank you all very, very much. I think one of the things Jesus asks in the gospel today is, who do people say that the Son of Man is? And there's lots of ways to think about that, and I encourage all of us to continue to think about that. But one way to answer that, or to translate that phrase, Son of Man, is truly human. So what does it mean to be truly human? What does Jesus show us about really being a human being? And I think you can see through the experience that these girls had and all of us had throughout the week that it is about caring for people. To be a human being created in God's image, to follow this Jesus who loves us to the point of death, even death on a cross, it means that we care for each other. We present ourselves as a living sacrifice, as Paul says in the Romans passage today. So for each of us, I think it's a good invitation not only just to continue to hear stories, because isn't it nice to hear good news in a world full of such cruddy news and such lousiness all the time? So keep fishing stories out of them, please. And also share your stories, too, of where you see Jesus at work in the world and where you continue to explore who Jesus is. Let's do it together. Amen.